Good morning. Welcome to a special video discussion for Saturday, January 17th, 2026. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino, CDM number 9. Well, we have a lot of interesting data showing up, not only for today, but also for tomorrow. So I wanted to make a video basically going over all the factors that are evolving here and then provide it to you. So just so you know, we will have another update this afternoon, evening, mostly with snow maps for tomorrow. Let me explain what's going on. Currently, right now, our Arctic cold front is on the way. You can see temperatures are in the mid to upper 20s over northeastern Pennsylvania, upper 20s to lower 30s over southeastern Pennsylvania. But along the Delaware River, we're seeing a very, very intense clash between temperatures in the 40s here in southern New Jersey ahead of the cold front, upper 30s to lower 40s in central New Jersey. Again, lower 40s around Long Island. With even a few snowflakes being reported around JFK, the cold air is bleeding in as the cold front's approaching. And while this is happening, we're getting intense frontogenesis in this area, leading to some moderate snowfall. Many locations are definitely going to be reaching the snowfall expectations of 2 to 4 inches around the Delaware water gap, essentially. Let me refresh this here and zoom in, because we're seeing a little bit more of a burst of snowfall here that's going to be pushing our snowfall totals over the expected 2 inches. I don't want to issue a new map once the factor's already made, once it's already observed that it's going above the forecast, because then I can't track whether or not I did well or not, right? But of course, I've been talking to clients all morning, and basically it is in this area here where probably I should have expanded zone 1 into this area. And there is a chance here that someone could get up to 5 inches of snow out of this in this area, because of the frontogenesis that we're seeing here in the intense snowfall. Along the coast, it's pretty much evolving as expected. We're getting some rain mixed in. We're waiting for the cold air to come in. Once it comes in, everything will change over to snow. Not a lot in terms of an impact here. As long as you're salting, should be fine. As long as you have treated roadways and surfaces, should be fine. But certainly, it's certainly going to look pretty nice this afternoon. A little bit of a festive feel if you're still trying to hang on to the holidays there. I know some people around my neighborhood certainly are, and we are. So it's certainly going to have that little festive feel as that cold air works its way in. So essentially, you're getting your high temperatures now, and then we free fall from here on out. So overall, this storm is pretty much evolving as expected for most of the region. You can see that very nicely here on the infrared satellite picture. That's lifting, that's enhancing. The frontogenesis I was talking about, you can see it right here very clearly. Nice packing of the isotherms. You could also see that here at 925 millibars. So here at 850 millibars. And of course, you could also pull up this analysis here showing the frontogenesis popping up here and there. And the same thing here at 925 millibars, broken up but still present, and at 700 millibars. That's where it's really standing out. And so that is what is enhancing our snowfall. As the cold air works in, as these cold fronts march their way through, we'll continue to see any rain along the coast changing over to snow. So overall, this forecast is working out pretty nicely. A little bit overperformance up here. Not that most of the people up there are complaining. I was expecting 2 inches. Looked like you probably could push 3 to 4. Now the question is for tomorrow. I've been steadfast, and I'm still saying the same thing. The bulk of the storm for tomorrow is staying off the coast. But what is very interesting with the Mesoscale data, and we're waiting for new data for 12Z all to come in, so I'll make an update for tomorrow afternoon, for this afternoon, for tomorrow morning, is that we're getting a little bit more support for what's called frontogenesis and some really strong banding signals here at the back edge of this storm. So you're seeing right now on the water vapor satellite picture, here's our short waves rounding the bend, heading towards the mid-Atlantic. All that is playing out pretty much as expected. You can see again, there's no change in terms of the orientation of the trough, very much strongly positive. All that remains the same, okay? And when we take a look at 500 millibars, I took a look at all the models, and they basically all look like what the European's showing, sheared, straight out, everything's getting focused to the east. Okay, so that is pretty much in place and still present. The question comes down to 700 millibars, where the mesoscale guidance is showing this. Now, sometimes when you have this clash of Arctic air coming in and warm air trying to get thrown back into the coastal plain because the storm is far out, it can lead to this deformation band that sets up over the immediate coastal plain. And these are really, really tough to forecast for. We typically see this at the end of a lot of our major winter storms. And, honestly, this would have been a major winter storm, a blockbuster winter storm, KU storm, if all these shortwaves had come into agreement and aligned. But sometimes you get this stretching in the atmosphere, and that is what we're starting to see here on the mesoscale guidance, okay? So that's why you're seeing this burst. It's not a trend west. It's a signal that, hey, on the back end of this storm, as some warm air is getting thrown into an Arctic air mass, you could end up with a band of moderate snow showing up here around the I-95 corridor and on the coastal plain. And that is what's being shown in the model guides. Now, the synoptic models are not really showing that just yet. And again, we're not seeing a strong signal of that with the 700 millibar omega. You're not really seeing that also 850 millibar vorticity, right? All these factors I look for that type of stretching. But it is showing up pretty strongly on the mesoscale guidance. So it's not something you can just ignore and just say, hey, I'm just going to ignore it and move about my day, because that will definitely lead to a bust if you do that, and at least don't investigate it. So is there any signal here on any of the synoptics? And we'll use the best synoptic model we have, which is the European. I mean, statistically, it is. And you can see here, okay, here at 850 millibars, clearly some sort of gradient trying to show up here, okay? And you clearly have moisture transport being thrown in. When we take a look at the precipitable water value, again, there's our main storm out here in the Atlantic, sitting up here. But you are seeing just the edge here trying to inch its way in. Again, here's our main storm. Here's the back edge right here. You're seeing a little bit of an increase in throwing back of the moisture, which is why I've been going with scattered snow showers. And so what that looks like on the 06Z European is this little burst here that swings on out. Which is why for premium members, I've had an impact map out for tomorrow for 1 to 3 inches on the immediate coast, especially around Cape May and towards the east end of Long Island and out towards the Cape. Pretty confident with that. But if you end up with what the, let's see here, the NAM is trying to show here, and let me pull up 925 millibar temperatures, you can see that gradient showing up even more right here. So there's that. Again, that matches up pretty nicely with this signal here. So what I'm trying to show here is that, hey, there's certainly something here that we're going to keep an eye on with this gradient. And at 850 millibars, you get that -6 to -8 range right over the I-95 corridor, which is prime for snow growth. So this is certainly a very interesting signal that's showing up. And so what you end up with on the model guidance and the NAM is more of this burst on the I-95 corridor before it exits out. And that could, in theory, push you into that 3 to 6 inch range. It is something that is very tricky to forecast for, and something that, I'm going to have to definitely dive into this afternoon with all of the fresh data to really see what we're dealing with here. So in terms of the pattern overall, when I take a look at this setup here, again, it forces everything out here, but you can make that case for that little stretching in the atmosphere and that frontogenesis that shows up right here, right on the back edge of this storm that could really, surprise us. So we're going to update this afternoon, dive into the data. In the meantime, we'll continue to get this cold front to march its way through. Our temperatures will steadily start to fall. You'll see this rain changing over to snow on the coast, snow continuing over the interior. Let's pull up the HRR real fast and get a timing ending on this, just so you could see it live. And there you go. There's our transition. And this afternoon, you're going to see the transition pretty nicely. And then by the time we get to 4 or 5 o'clock, we're pretty much done. So over northeastern Pennsylvania, I'm expecting most of this to be done by about 2 o'clock. And it'll be snowing pretty good along the I-95 corridor. And then we're pretty much done. And by 6 o'clock, we'll be getting ready for the next storm. Maybe. We'll have more data as we get more of it for this afternoon. Look for an update between 3 and 4 p.m. With a new snow map for tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe out there.